Hello everyone. Sexual harassment of women at workplace. Prevention means to prevent. Prohibition means to stop it or to prohibit it. And redressal means to provide the remedies. Protection of Women from Sexual Harassment Act (POSH) was enacted with the objective of making workplaces safer for women, because if the women who are working, who are employed, nowadays many women are employed, and many women also want to get employed because they want to be financially independent. That means they don't want to be dependent upon their father or their husbands for the finances, right? If they have some salary which comes in their bank account, then they need not ask to their husband or to their father that give me some money, I have to spend, I have to buy this, or these are my needs, right? They can themselves be self sufficient for providing themselves with those needs. Fine. So, also, why we need to provide a safer environment for women at workplaces? Because if they are not feeling safe or comfortable to work in the office or the school or in whatever institution they are employed, they will not be able to work properly. The people or the women who are employed, they will obviously not be able to work well or provide the services for which they were employed at the first place. So, suppose if for teaching I have employed a female teacher, but due to the constant fear, or since somebody has one day flirted with her or did some actions which may be offensive, right? So now she will be in constant fear that the person will again come, again threaten her that you have to be silent, otherwise I will leak this photo of yours, or I will do something against you. I will put an false allegation against you that you proposed me or you wanted to live with me. So, any sort of unfavorable allegation which are false, and that may also defame that female teacher. Moreover, not these threats, then a simple act of flirting or or some act that can outrage her modesty as a woman or her dignity, right? So any such thing he has told her or he has asked her which she feels is offensive to her character, so she will be in constant fear and she will not be able to teach properly, right? So the productivity or the purpose for which she was employed, that has failed, and she is not able to provide the services that she had to as per the contract of employment. So the production or productivity, that will be affected, it will not be done properly, and the if it was a financial institution or a company or a business, then that would also not flourish, right? So productivity will be affected negatively, and that would affect the economic development of the nation as a whole, right? Because services are not being delivered as they should have been. So the workplace environment has to be such which provides a feeling of safety, security to the women workers as it provides to the male workers. When we are talking about equality, Article 14 or any such constitutional provisions, then we also have to make sure that the working place is as safe for a woman as it is for a man, right? So ऐसा नहीं है कि ये एक्ट ऐसे ही हवा में आ गया, इसकी भी नीड रही होगी, कुछ ऐसे एक्ट्स रहे होंगे वेयर women were subjected to sexual harassment at workplace. They are going there to earn something for their family. Some members may be wholly dependent upon the income of that woman, right? So if you are rendering her devoid of such services, now what will happen? That if the person goes home and tells that आज मेरे साथ ये harassment हुआ at workplace, now the family would be like, don't go there from tomorrow onwards because that place is not safe for you. What may that tomorrow some bigger untoward incident happens, then we are at a loss. We are at loss of a life, we are at loss of a human and of livelihood, because we are totally dependent upon you, right? So some families, their whole livelihood, their whole sustenance depends upon the income of that woman. तो अगर आप ऐसे safer environment नहीं provide करोगे, maybe that they will leave their jobs. Then what will happen? How will their families be having the basic necessities of life which they need for their daily routine, right? So all these things are dependent upon providing a safer environment to the women. Fine. So if women are being protected as per the name of the act, then the objective means would be to make the workplace safer for women by preventing, prohibiting, redressing, means to solve. If there is a complaint, then that would be solved, the grievance will be solved, and the effective remedy has to be provided. The law was made effective in whole of India on December 9, 2013 by Ministry for Women and Child Development. So this is the central government's department which works for the welfare of women and child development, and it is only responsible for enacting this law. There are different departments in the central government manifesto, right, in their cabinet, and अलग अलग उसके head of department होते हैं, ministers होते हैं. So my little homework for you is search that who was the then minister for this department. The then minister means 2013 में इस department को कौन head कर रहा था या कर रही थी जब this act was made. Fine. History. Many women rights groups and NGOs demanding action against sexual harassment towards women at the workplace filed a case. This case, Vishakha guidelines, which I had mentioned yesterday, this is the case in which those guidelines were given by the Supreme Court of India. Okay, so see, sometimes what happens, as I told you, there is a stigma or taboo attached to it. So women don't come out and they complain. What happens is, maybe there was a destitute woman and she was not having the courage to, go out and complain or seek a medical or legal help for the same. She was not having even the financial funds for that. So the NGOs or women rights groups, that may be the service providers or the support officers, right, they demanded action by filing a suit. सूट फाइल किया, सूट फाइल करेंगे, उसमें जो डिसीजन आएगा वही तो होगा ना, एक्शन ऑफ द कोर्ट अगेंस्ट सच प्रैक्टिसेस. सो एक्शन ओवर हियर मीन्स दैट कोर्ट मस्ट डू समथिंग टू प्रिवेंट सच एक्ट्स इन द फ्यूचर, और there should be some positive step towards prohibiting the repetition of such offensive acts against women. Fine. So that is the meaning of action over here. Against sexual harassment at the workplace, Vishakha versus State of Rajasthan in Supreme Court in interest of women's protection as a PIL. So public interest litigation was filed. Public interest, that means it was not the personal interest of those women right group or NGOs that was involved over here, but it is in the interest of the public at large that they had filed this petition. Litigation means कि law process start हुआ. Fine. So that is the meaning of litigation, right? And it also means a pending suit. So they had filed this for the interest of public. And who is the public जिसका interest यहाँ पर involved है? Of women at large, of the whole women community, and also of the society, because as I said, some may be wholly dependent upon that women. The origin of this case dates back to 1992. See, हमारे केस में बहुत, हमारे इंडिया में क्या है कि केसेस बहुत लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन तक पेंडिंग रहते हैं. कोई स्टार्ट हुए होंगे 2005 में, डिसीजन आया 2030 में. दैट कैन हैपन, राइट. हियरिंग्स पे हियरिंग्स, एडजर्नमेंट्स, और बहुत साल का पेंडिंग, बर्डन ऑफ केसेस आर इंक्रीजिंग, दैट्स वाई ओनली. So the origin means the case was filed, or the whatever act of sexual harassment was done, that was way back in 1992. And the citation which was given of this case, Vishakha case की जो citation होगी, that means the judgment was passed on that date. Fine. Then means at that time, a low caste woman in her 50s, Bhanwari Devi, who worked as a social or grassroots worker with Rajasthan government's Women Development Project, was gang raped by a group of upper caste men because she tried to stop the devious practice of child marriage. So, Rajasthan में बहुत ज़्यादा child marriage अभी भी prevalent है. So you can see it was the duration of 1992. Okay, at that time there may be some child marriage which was going on, and she tried to stop that. by educating them maybe that this is not the correct age for them to be married, they will not be able to shoulder the responsibilities or share a household, build a family, right? It's such a tender age, whatever maybe. She was trying to create awareness and stop that thing from happening. But response kya hua? That the group of men, they gang raped her. Fine. So, and why low caste and upper caste? Because at that time, and even in the villages who are not much educated, or they are not able to accept that concept that now caste system is abolished, there this low caste, upper caste, तुम ये हो, हम तुम्हारे घर का खाना नहीं खाएंगे और ये सब, that is still prevalent even today, and it is no boasting, it is facts. This is the actual truth. Such low caste, upper caste things still go on. So that's why we say there is always a huge gap between what is written on paper and what is in practice in actual life. The trial court acquitted. Acquitted means to set free. Whatever the charges were, you are free from those charges. Baizzat bari jo aapne agar suna hoga to, that is in English acquittal. That now you have no allegations against you. Allegation means charges कि इसका इल्जाम आप पर लगा था, but जो ट्रायल हुआ उसमें एविडेंसेस इतने स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं थे कि आपके वो जो चार्जेस थे वो प्रूव हो सके. मतलब कि ये प्रूव हो सके that yes, you have done that wrongful act and so you have to be punished according to whatever section of IPC. Fine. So acquittal means the charge was not able to be proved. There were not enough evidences. There was benefit of doubt or whatever may be the reason. And since the allegations were not proved, so it cannot be said that you have done that act. So now we have to set you free. The accused offenders stating also that upper caste men could not have raped a low caste woman, and also because all including the village authorities, doctors, police rejected her allegation. So allegation means of course the woman has said or filed a complaint maybe, or she has filed a petition that these upper caste men had raped me. But what happened is that the trial court of course would be of that district or of the state even. बेसिकली ट्रायल कोर्ट वहाँ की होती है जहाँ इंसिडेंट हुआ हो, राइट? सो बिकॉज इट वर्क्स अपॉन द जुरिस्डिक्शन प्रिंसिपल कि ये सपोज आई एम द क्लास टीचर ऑफ क्लास 11A, fine, I am not the class teacher of class 11B. So if one of the students or some of students, they had a fight amongst them all, but they are of 11B and they come complaining to me, what I will say is, I am not your class teacher, go and tell it to your class teacher, she will handle such matters. Right, because I can only deal with such disputes which arise in my class, in 11A. I will have no authority to deal with you. I am not teaching you any subject. I am not associated with you anyhow. I am not your class teacher. So how can I tell you this is wrong, this is right, and how can I punish you? I don't know you. What are your names? I have seen you first time. This may happen, no? Because if you are new to me, I don't recognize you. I have seen you for the first time and you are coming complaining to me. I don't have that jurisdiction to deal with such matter. Right? So similarly, trial court is also the court of the district or the area where that incident or that wrongful act has taken place. So that jurisdiction principle evolves, and on the basis of jurisdiction only the court of first instance is decided, जहाँ पर मैटर पहली बार जाता है हियरिंग के लिए. ठीक है? आई होप बहुत ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं बना रही हूँ मैं. सो ट्रायल कोर्ट ने ये बोलते हुए उनको सेट फ्री किया कि अपर कास्ट मेन और लोअर कास्ट वुमेन में इतना बैरियर है हमारी सोसाइटी में और इतना टैबू है इन सब चीज़ों का, इतना डिस्टिंक्शन है दैट इट इज़ नॉट पॉसिबल दैट दे कैन इवन रेप हर. ठीक है, दे कैन नॉट इवन टच हर. तो रेप करना तो बहुत दूर की बात, ऐसा उन्होंने कुछ बताया. एंड द विलेज अथॉरिटीज, डॉक्टर्स, पुलिस, दे ऑल रिजेक्टेड कि नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ, शी इज टेलिंग अ लाई. तो उल्टा उस पर ही उसको झूठा बोल दिया. Then, in absence of any Indian law dealing specifically with violence against women, Supreme Court referred to UN Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination and delivered a set of standards known as Vishakha Guidelines, which included the following. It is the onus. Onus means it is the responsibility of the employer. Employer, you know, somebody who employs the other sets of people in his firm or in his institution. So it is the duty of employer to include a rule in the company code of conduct for preventing sexual harassment. That means now every institution has its own set of rules according to which that institution is governed. right? And you have to maintain that guidelines or that code of discipline, है ना? हर जगह एक सभ्य तरीके से बिहेव करना होता है. इवन इन योर स्कूल देयर मे बी सम guidelines or code of conduct, or you have to behave in a disciplined manner, right? So in a company also there are some code of conduct or some rules and regulations by which it is governed. In that, it is the duty of employer that it has to include some guidelines or some provisions, some rules for protection of women also against the sexual harassment. Organizations must establish complaint committees that are headed by women. Complaint committees means they will deal with such complaints of sexual harassment if there are any by any women employee of the company. Okay, if some women employee has a complaint or she has some grievance that this person has done this with me, so she can complain to the complaints committee, जिसका काम ही होगा to deal with such complaints, and उसका head एक women होनी चाहिए. Why women? Because they can understand the situation better, they can feel that empathy, right? They can understand the gravity of the situation. Fine. Initiate disciplinary action. Disciplinary action means within the department the person can be punished and the inquiry can be set up against that person within the department. हम ऐसी inquiry set up करेंगे that has he or she has committed the act or not, whether the allegations put by this woman is correct or not. ये तो हमें पता करना पड़ेगा ना, तभी हम उस person को punish कर पाएंगे. Straight away किसी की complaint सुनकर हम ऐसे action नहीं ले सकते. We have to find out the truth behind those allegations. Fine. So disciplinary action will be initiated against offenders to safeguard the interest of victim. Now why these things are important? So that even the victim will feel that yes, I am heard in this institution. मेरी बात सुनी जाती है, मुझे मेरी सिक्योरिटी को, मेरी सेफ्टी को इम्पोर्टेंस दे रहे हैं, कंप्लेंट सुन रहे हैं, उसकी इंक्वायरी करवा रहे हैं ताकि सच और झूठ पता चल पाए. एंड फीमेल एम्प्लॉयज दे फील सिक्योर इन दैट इंस्टीट्यूशन, और फिर उनका मन लगे वहाँ पर काम करने का. ठीक है. Female employees shall be made aware of their rights. So whatever the rights are, that you can complain to this committee, you can always come to us and feel free, all that stuff. The Supreme Court recognized obvious legislative insufficiency, means the legislation at that time when this Vishakha case was going on, it was not sufficient. So the trial court has said that thing कि upper caste lower caste को rape नहीं कर सकता. The matter went to Supreme Court in the appeal. Of course, if the trial court has given the verdict or judgment in favor of those offenders by setting them free, तो appeal किसने file करी होगी? Victim ने, because the decision was against her, so she will file the appeal, right? So the case went up to the Supreme Court and it recognized that the present legislation is insufficient for such matters. And also that sexual harassment at workplace is a violation of human rights. Any sort of harassment at any place is a violation of dignity and basic human right. Dignity is what? Basic human right of a person by virtue of him being a human being, right? So it is the violation. According to Vishakha judgment, until a legal structure on this topic is formulated, means it is made and adopted, that is, it comes into force, it gets implemented, Vishakha guidelines established by Article 32 will have the force of law and must be obeyed by organization in both commercial and public sectors. Commercial means in business organizations that may be only working for their commercial gains or profits, and public sector which are associated somewhere or the other with the government. So they have to follow such guidelines. They have to, what are those guidelines? We have just did. And these are not the only guidelines, these 4 which are given over here, but there are many more to them. Fine. Anyways, so Article 32 of the Constitution is writ jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. The Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition, Redressal Act of 2013 is based on Vishakha guidelines and aims to create a mechanism for redressal of sexual harassment complaints at workplace. Fine. So this is all. And now Unit 5, Chapter 5, Unit 5 is completed. It is, now we will complete, or we will jump on to the chapters which are newly upgraded in the book, and I will begin with the administrative law. from the next video. Thank you so much.